What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sword and Shield era in relation to the broader market. So I know that a lot of your favorite Pokemon creators that have larger channels than I do, they're saying that, the crash, only idiots are talking about that, right? It's all fabricated, that's not happening, things are stabilizing. And I do agree to an extent that way too many people were talking about the crash and overhyping what was actually going on. But I don't think we're at a point where everything is stabilizing, and I'll go a little bit more in depth in this video. But the first thing I do want to bring up, if you guys haven't seen, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen this news, courtesy of PokeBeach, it looks like there's going to be an Ends Zekrom in Mega Dream, which is probably going to be our specialty set in the new year. The photo is really blurry. You can go look at like AI markups on some other platforms, but it looks like it's going to be an interesting card, probably have a little bit of value there. And it is obviously the return of owner Pokemon, which is something we saw in sets like Journey Together and Destined Rival. So that was cool. But to get into Sword and Shield, for the most part, everything was still down this week in terms of market price. The only boxes that were up, I believe, were Sword and Shield Base, which is now sitting around $566 on TCG Player. Rebel Clash, surprisingly, is up to around $440. And then Darkness Ablaze is almost $330 at this point. But even though they are moving up in price, these are sets that still aren't selling great. For example, Sword and Shield Base and Rebel Clash, I think there was only one buy it now sale in eBay North America for each of these over the past 7 days. Darkness Ablaze, I think there was less than one per day moving, and there was more supply on the market. And that's kind of why I think you have to go a little bit more in depth when you look at things as potentially stabilizing, because there is clearly still a increase in the amount of boxes coming to market for most of these sets, not all of them, but most of them. There is still a race to the bottom, even on some of these more desirable sets that we are seeing. It's not going crazy, but it is still happening, which we will talk about. And that's kind of why I think you need to have some level of nuance when you're having this conversation. You can't just say, crash is over, guys, everything's stabilizing, point to a couple different examples. So what I mean by this, right? Something like Vivid Voltage, there's more supply on the market, I believe, and this box was actually selling really well over the past 7 days, so this is kind of an outlier. But a lot of the alternate art sets, which are the sets that most people care about in the Sword and Shield era, more supply coming to market every single week. And I am tracking this. Every Wednesday, we do the market update. We take the price from TCG Player, 20% more than that, how many boxes listed on eBay below it. Battle Styles, there's a lot of boxes out there. We're probably sitting around 10 or 11 cases worth of boxes below a 20% leg up at this point, which I think puts it probably somewhere around $325. And less than one we're selling per day over the past week. So Battle Styles just not moving great, even in like the $240 range. I think I saw boxes listed as low as maybe $225 on Battle Styles, so almost back into the 190-ish range. It's kind of crazy there. Chilling Reign, same sort of deal as last week. Decent amount of supply out there. Okay sell-through rate, nothing crazy. I think I saw one box listed at like $395 for Chilling Reign, and then it jumped up to around $440. So there are still people that are concerned even about some of these alternate art sets that are trying to move their boxes, jumping all the way down into the 300s. Kind of crazy. Now, the more crazy thing, in my opinion, right? We always talked about Evolving Skies being a super desirable set, and I still think long-term, like it's the best set in Sword and Shield era. That's not really anything that's contentious. I think the value's there. I think people will always want to open Evolving Skies. But when you look at current market price from TCG Player, you add 20% to that, and then you calculate how many boxes are on eBay listed below that 20% leg up. Evolving Skies now has the second most amount of boxes, only behind Battle Styles in the Sword and Shield era. There's a ton of Evolving Skies coming to market, and we're seeing boxes listed as low as $2,100 on eBay North America. And I know some people have got even better deals than that locally in like the 2K range, even less than that up here in Canada apparently, which is kind of just bonkers to me. But at the same time, when you look at something like Team Up, which was up to around $10,000, we're now selling probably close to $7,500 on that. That's about a 25% drop in price. Evolving Skies going from 3K to 2,100. Probably a little bit more than that, honestly. But it's not like it's inconceivable that we've seen this drop on Evolving Skies. And it's happened for a lot of other sets, but that's probably the best example that you can point to in the Sword and Shield era for something that hasn't fully stabilized yet. Fusion Strike, kind of in the same boat, maybe. I saw one listing, I think in like the 780 range on eBay North America this week, and then it jumped up right away to I think like $850. But again, it is one or two people trying to race to the bottom on that. Now, Brilliant Stars, this is a box that I would say has sort of stabilized over the past couple weeks. When you look at the days of inventory remaining on this, it's the lowest out of any of the Sword and Shield era sets. There's not a ton of supply out there below like $600 USD, especially considering that a lot of these other Sword and Shield sets, the supply on the market has, 5x or 10x. Something like Brilliant Stars, it's maybe only doubled, and the sales volume is still pretty respectable. It's not where it was during the super hype cycle of the summer when everyone was buying Sword and Shield era booster boxes, but it's still respectable. It's in a range where if it stayed there, I'd be very happy with that. And it is kind of surprising to me that Brilliant Stars is the first set to kind of stabilize in the Sword and Shield alt art sets. I mean, the Charizard is still coming down in price, but outside of that, it's not the best set of the era. Like, let's be real. The Umbreon VMAX is the second most expensive card, sitting around $77 currently. The Mimikyu has jumped all the way up to third, around $60. The Arceus is staying around $60. So I guess there's some decent trainer gallery cards in here and some decent alternate arts, but it's not the best set. So my guess would be that part of this has to do with people looking at some of these alternate art sets that are maybe a bit more expensive and just not viewing them as the best option currently. Maybe something like Brilliant Stars and also Silver Tempest, which I guess we can skip right to this. This is the box that's selling probably the best, I think, in the Sword and Shield era currently. There's still a little bit more inventory out there in terms of days remaining for Silver Tempest compared to Brilliant Stars, but it's fairly close in that range. So these two sets right now are kind of the ones that I'm looking at and watching the most, just because I think the market viewing them around $400, $450, probably a better deal than maybe putting their money into Fusion Striker Evolving, even if that's not the right decision. I think that's just where a lot of people's heads are at right now. And to jump back, we'll go to Astral Radiance. Not really much to say here. This box is, couple selling every single week. Nothing super exciting going on with Astral. It's whatever. And then Lost Origin, still a lot of this out there. I think I saw boxes listed as low as $660 with bad rap, and then I think one at like $725 that was fairly minty on eBay North America. It's doing its thing. It's not selling great one week, then the next week it's selling fairly good. So keep an eye on this, I guess. And the final thing I want to bring to your attention today, I did do the Ultra Premium Collection update in the spreadsheet yesterday. It's kind of surprising to me. The amount of boxes listed for the UPCs hasn't increased that much compared to a lot of the booster boxes, whether it's from the SV era, the Sun and Moon era, the Sword and Shield era. We have seen an increase in supply, but not anything relative to what we've seen with the booster boxes, which I just thought was interesting. Sales volume has obviously come down, but it's still fairly strong, even for a set like Celebrations, which was up over the past 28 days, now sitting around $905 on TCG Player. Even the 151 UPC, the Prismatic UPC, the Sword and Shield one, those are all either down a few dollars or a lot in the case of the Prismatic SBC. A lot of that has to do with the Costco or Sam's Club bundle, whatever it's going to be. But these are all still products that people want and are willing to buy, even at these, 3x MSRP, 4x, 5x. In Celebration's case, probably get into like, 6, 7x on that product. So I don't know. I think right now, these are products I would want to hold on to. And especially if the Super Premium Collection gets a large stock at Costco and they are selling for around $75 a piece, I imagine even if you're paying scalper prices, these are going to be readily available less than $200. And I think that building position in these, even if they're not sealed cases, it's probably still going to be worth picking up a few of these. But that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Also, if you are shopping eBay, TCG Player, Hobbiesville, Cardboard Hero, I have affiliate links down below. They're free and easy to use. All you have to do is click on it before you do your shopping. I'll get a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you. So it's a free and easy way to support me continuing to make these videos for you guys. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.